There's confidence in knowing that nothing's going to be forgotten. And then there's just a higher level of kind of relaxation and rest because they know that it's taken care of.
And I think the key for dance parents is to give themselves grace and to, know that it's never going to be possible to like pack perfectly and to tan perfectly and get the makeup on perfectly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Steps, produced by Apolla Performance and Turning Point Dance Creations. I'm Bree Zabrowski here with Melissa McDaniel Grisham, and we have another fantastic convo today. Melissa, tell everybody what we've got going on.
We have the wonderful hosts of Two Dance Moms podcast, the weekly podcast, Amira and Cayse. They're sharing their own wins and fails as dance moms and tips and tricks that they have learned along the way, helping dance parents find a little more fun and a little less stress at their dancers' next competition. Amira and Cayse, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having us. I love being here chatting with you guys.
You all have an amazing podcast. You do every single week throughout the season. So we're going to try something a little different today because we want to highlight and tie into some of those incredible things that you have had in your content and covered this season. So reflect, if you will, on the last few episodes of Two Dance Moms podcast. Highlights, what you learned, your favorite tips for competition season. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Then let's get started. Go ahead, Bree.
So, you guys have covered so much ground in your recent episodes. I think it's 83 to 86 that we were watching, because we also partner with Two Dance Moms on the Apollo side of things. And we're so fortunate for that partnership. But getting ready for competition season, that was talked about a lot, right? Everything from packing and tanning to makeup and meals. Looking back at those episodes, what's one piece of advice or tip that's truly standing out to you as a game changer for any dance moms that are out there, for yourselves? And how do you plan to use it in future competitions?
Wow, these episodes were loaded. So that is a big question. But I think backing it up even before we started creating the episodes and discussing the prep, I think I still have a moment that stood out in my first year as a dance mom that sort of guides everything I approach go forward. And that was even before I met Cayse. It was our first year at a different studio. I remember picking a seasoned dance mom's brain there. And I always remember her saying, it was something to the effect of, like, aside from taking up a lot of space, you most likely will never regret overpacking for a dance competition and having more than you need. But the chances are very, very good that you will regret underpacking and having less than you need at a dance competition. So I think that kind of guides. And I think Casey's really aligned with me in that. It's not saying that you should overpack, but how you think about those items when you're putting them in the bag, the approach is a little different. So if you have one thing that you're thinking, should I take this weekend? I think your best bet is just to bring it and make space for it. And you're going to most likely maybe not need it, but the chances of you needing it and not having it would just really create such a negative experience at the dance comp. So I think that guides a lot of what we do in our episodes. And I think you'll see in our packing checklist episode that we really try and dive in and go over all those little minute particulars that some of the listeners are probably thinking, oh, what are the chances I'm going to need that? Like a first aid kit? No, or a sewing kit, but I can speak with, certainty that these items have been used. Cayse has saved my butt multiple times with her sewing kit. So I would say that overpack if you must and never underpack for a dance comp.
AC, bigger picture, how do all of the preparations affect a dancer's performance and their mindset going into competition? What have you noticed with your own kids and the kids that they dance with?
I noticed that there's a lot of confidence. There's confidence in knowing that nothing's going to be forgotten. And then there's just a higher level of kind of relaxation and rest because they know that it's taken care of. And I think all the kids kind of know, particularly on the team, that at least one of the parents has got it covered, even if their parent doesn't. And it's a big team effort. Like Amira was saying, like I have my sewing kit, but I know Amira has her steamer on hand. So if I've got a unruly wrinkle, Amira's coming to the rescue. So we all kind of pitch in, and I think that makes the kids feel more confident, a little more relaxed, knowing that somebody's thought of it and they don't have to worry about it. Their task is just performing and having a good time. All their hard work through the season gets to kind of shine on stage in this moment, and we'll take care of those.
That's a really great idea that you guys sort of coordinate. That way everyone's not packing everything and then, okay, you've got the steamer, you've got the sewing kit, you've got this, you've got that. That's a great approach. I am not going to let my husband hear this episode because we are constantly having that discussion about overpacking. He is an overpacker and he has said this exact thing over and over, like it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so when like we'll go somewhere for 2 days and the entire car, it looks like we're leaving for like a month because he's like, well, if we've got room, we're gonna throw it in there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I know I mean, it's a constant conversation. And I've really like 15 years into marriage, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna try not to say anything about the car. But anyway, yeah, it's a great tip.
You should see the car when Amira and I drive together.
We can't usually take my car. We usually have to take Casey's that has a bigger trunk, because we just can't fit all the things and all the kitchen equipment.
I will say, a seasoned dance mom when you can say, "Oh, I wish I had," and somebody just goes,
Just pops it out.
There. We're getting better each year too. We didn't start out this way. I forgot so much in my, probably my first 3 years, and I still will forget something from time to time. So, and I know Casey does too. So, you're never perfect, but you just kinda get better and better and better at it.
Absolutely, and that's the key. When you know better, you do better. Isn't that our that's our tagline.
I like that. When you know better, you do better. Love it.
In episodes 83 through 85, I have such a funny story about this. You dove into the world of DIY spray tans and other at-home tanning methods. So maybe my third, fourth, maybe year as a competition director, one of the kids was like, Miss Melissa, where do you get your spray tan? I was like, so I don't really get a spray tan. Um, but a lot of people do just because of the look that you have on stage. So, what surprised you most in these episodes about safe and effective tanning for dancers? And what words of wisdom would you offer to parents who are a little nervous about trying some at-home tanning techniques?
Well, I definitely think what surprised me most was how valuable the prep work is ahead of time. So it's not just about like how good the application is. I think people worry a lot about how they're applying it or getting it put on, but it's like if you've not prepped your skin first, that foundation isn't properly cleaned and without any oily lotions and stuff like that. Like that's really what's going to mess up your tan is the prep work, which I think is kind of the way of it for a lot of things. Like prep matters. And it's the same with a tan. So following all of those instructions really is important. And then I think for parents that are nervous, I would say try it not right before something important. Give it a test run. And then you can kind of see how it looks, how it works. There are products that remove tanner and you can use them to like take it off. It's becoming more popular that it's like fake tan remover. So you could put it on a long weekend and see how it looks. And if it looks terrible or that brand doesn't work for your kid or the base colored, makes them look kind of, too unnatural and you don't like it, grab one of those removers, you put the product on, you let it sit for like a minute and then you exfoliate it off. So it's kind of like no harm, no foul. So I would just say experiment. It's kind of like when they say try it on a little test fabric or a little test piece of skin. It's the same thing. Like just give it a test run. Don't do it right before nationals if you've never done it before. And then all of a sudden your child looks like an Oompa Loompa on stage. Like we want to avoid that.
Well, and Oompa Loompa, or like also like you can see like the definite line on the hand. I mean, they're using their hands on stage all the time. The streakiness, like you don't want any of that.
I've got a tip. I've got a tip for that. Hot tip. If you put your tanner on your hands, or, if you're doing like a mousse tan, or even if you get a spray tan and they tan your hands, only let the solution sit on the hands for like 10 minutes and then wash your hands. And it will fade. That way it's just not as strong. So you won't get those harsh lines. Because what it is it activates with the protein in the skin and there's more dry skin in certain spots on your hand. And that's why the tanner absorbs almost like a sponge and then makes those spots look extra fake. So we want to wash that off, not let it have so long to develop. And then you won't have those harsh lines on your hands anymore.
I didn't know there was so much about spray tanning, but this is more than I ever thought I would know about spray tanning.
Now I'm ready to laugh. I need a good laugh right about now. Do either of you have a memorable names to protect the innocent horror story about tanning and an important lesson that was learned either by you or a teammate or anyone adjacent to you? You can use fake names.
We have a friend. I don't know if you have a story, Amira. I've got one to go. We have a
It's
friend.
a personal one that doesn't relate to dancers. So I think Cayse should share hers since my dancer doesn't self tan. So I think Casey's got a better one.
My one of my daughter's friends tans, and often we have to time the tan because the solution has to sit on your skin like 6 to 8 hours. And so sometimes the tanning has to happen at night. They have to sleep in it and then they rinse it off in the morning, just depending on when the schedule is for dance and school and stuff like that. And this one girl is a self-proclaimed sleep drooler. And so when she has the tanning solution on her face, she woke up the next morning and she rinsed off her tan and there was like a line because she had drool on her face. And when she rinsed it off, thankfully, they wear foundation. And so she could blend it out and it wasn't quite so noticeable. But that was definitely a funny horror story. So watch out. If you're a drooler, you want to be careful with if you sleep in your tan while it's developing.
All right, we're going to go to makeup. Speaking of which, that was a great segue. In episode 84, you guys chatted with makeup artist Sarah Rhodes. What was the biggest aha moment you took away from that conversation with Sarah? And how did her professional perspective on makeup shift your own approach to how you do competition makeup for your kiddos? Or are they doing their own competition makeup at this point? Because they know they're a little bit older.
I first and foremost am thinking about the moment when Sarah told us to put eye makeup on before foundation and concealer because that had never occurred to me. And it really has been a game changer for us. We do a little bit of both. This weekend, actually, we drove almost 6 hours to a comp and we didn't realize my daughter's call time was going to be in the morning. So we left crazy early. So my dancer actually did her makeup in the car. And this trick really has helped us because we end up with so much eye makeup when you're doing kind of a smoky eye. It's ending up under your eye and it's really difficult to clean off and not mess up the foundation and the concealer and the blush. So this has really done the trick. So that was the first, I'd say, aha moment that stood out to me. And I definitely suggest it to listeners. You really should do the eye makeup first and then do your foundation and your concealer and your blush. The other thing I think that is super helpful to dance parents, I think we always kind of want to buy the next and buy more and think that more things will sort of help us perfect that stage look or make it better. And I loved that Sarah said like this less is more approach and have like a very succinct routine that you can turn to because a lot of the times we're doing this makeup on limited time. It's sort of stressful, moments that we're trying to get it on and get out the door. And so I think if you stick to these few things, these are the critical ones. These are the brands I'm choosing. First of all, it's less expensive. But second of all, it's really streamlined when you're putting it on your face. And so I think using that approach is going to help other dance moms, especially ones that are new to it, not feel so overwhelmed because we can always buy something else. And I think those 2 points really, really have already helped us since the 2 weeks since we interviewed her. So I think they're helpful aha moments, both of those.
I will say I'm on board. I'm in on the whole foundation after eyes. I did it this morning. I watched a video and that's how I do my makeup. And I forget. I go back into old habits and I'm like, dang it, why did I do that? But when I'm getting ready for like an event or something like that, or today I have to look okay for the camera, I did that first. And it really does. I agree. It changes the game for sure. Cayse, with makeup trends constantly evolving, how do you guys stay up on current trends and stage looks that are going on in the competition circuit without going too far or taking away from your dancers' natural features.
I think it's staying in line with whatever your director has as their theme for the year. And so that gives us some really safe parameters, and you can't really venture out too far when the director has a clear vision for what they want their dancers look to be like, especially if it's supposed to be a little more uniform. There definitely are trends, and one of them right now is blush, and even blush across the bridge of the nose. Like they want this almost like sunburned look is kind of a style. Don't ask me why, but it is. And so I've seen my dancer sometimes doing her stage makeup, and she'll like go to do it on the nose. I'm like, honey, this isn't like, that's not like your daily, that's your daily makeup. You can do that, but this is your stage, and you've got to remember it's not going to translate the same way. So I think just bringing everybody back into like, hey, we've got the parameters, we've got the guidelines, and things that are really fun for you at school or whatever are different than on the stage, and how it's going to read from 16 feet farther back with the judges and the lights. So it's very different. So I think just staying true to like, what is the point? Where are we? What's going to serve best this scenario? And then following the guidelines from your studio, it kind of keeps you on track.
Let's talk meals, food. Oh my gosh. In episodes 82 through 85, 82 and 85, excuse me, 82 and 85, you talked about the challenges of competition meals, especially the no cook ones. Cause I mean, we could pack everything, but we don't pack the air fryer, hopefully. So some people do. Some people pack crock pots. I've seen crock pots. I've seen a lot of different things. How do you strike the balance between nutritious and appealing meals and the convenience of not having to cook it, especially on the very, very, very long days?
I love to talk to my dancer like in the week leading ahead. I think Amira and I both love planning and prepping, and it's kind of fun conversations on the way to school, like, okay, what do you want to eat this weekend? And I'll go shopping, and we make kind of special accommodations for the food that we're going to have. And in that prep work, it even gets us kind of ready for what's to come, and then we don't feel so overwhelmed by the whole scenario because it's in the forefront of my mind, and then I'm making sure that I've done all my proper shopping. I think what's really important is that it's not just about that weekend that you suddenly have to eat well. It's the days leading up, because the day of is going to be very difficult. So I really try to lean into the days ahead of time when things are a little more low key and the nerves aren't quite so high. Are we getting enough water on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before we leave Friday? Are we eating well on those days? And that way we don't have to cram all of our wonderful nutrition onto the days that we're at comp. We already have a steady base level of nutrition to kind of bounce from. And for me, because I have a picky eater, I honestly, on comp days, I'm more concerned about just getting any food in her at all. So I kind of, and this might not be for everybody, but I kind of am just more concerned that she eats it all and that there's calories in her body. And I worry more about the micronutrients during the week when we're at home, or on the meals when we have a break. Like if all the dances are kind of shoved into that first half of the day, and then we get like a calmer evening time, then I can be more on top of my dancer and be like, hey, we're going to make sure that you get your salad in. We're going to make sure that we get these things in, because she's not so anxious. She's not so worked up. We're at a calmer level and we can eat and enjoy our food better. But during that competition time, when the nerves are up and the appetite is probably lower, I'm just more worried about calories and carbs and making sure that she's fueled to actually make it through those events.
Amira, do you have any cooler hacks to keep food fresh and organized is the big thing. Oh my God, stuff is always falling all over my cooler. Keeping food fresh and organized, or some must-have items that you always pack in that cooler.
I think some big ones for helping when you're bringing your cooler of food and for meals is that you want to bring large Ziploc or plastic bags. They're super versatile for filling with ice. So sometimes you're going to get to the hotel and there's not going to be a mini fridge that gets cold enough. So you're going to have to like supplement that. So always bring large plastic bags that you can fill with ice, and hopefully that's something that seals so it's not getting everything soggy and wet. So that's going to be a big number one. I think number two is always pre-chill your cooler For me, we have the big Yeti one, and I stick it in our garage fridge, and that brings the temperature, the starting point down before you're even sort of adding stuff into it, and trying to keep it cold is harder, especially if it's, summer months, it's in your car in direct sunlight, it can be really difficult. So pre-chill your cooler. I'd say another tip, one of my really close friends, she always camps in Yosemite for weeks, and she had this hack, and I've been doing it. I think it's really helpful. She takes large water bottles and she freezes them beforehand, and she uses those in the cooler. And then when they've melted, she actually has water to drink for the weekends, because a lot of the time, unless we want to pay like $5 for a small water bottle in the hotel room, you're gonna run out of water. I never have enough. And sometimes, not always, the comps and conventions will have refill stations, but it's always nice to have extra water for like your coffee machine or whatever it may be. So I think those are probably the three biggest cooler tips that I apply. Would you add anything to that, Casey? Do you think I missed something?
Oh, I love those tips. I think it's just remembering that air is the enemy of a cooler. So the more air and space you have in it, the quicker it's going to warm up. But I think you hit the nail on the head with those. I love those tips.
One of the things that I've done is I got a refrigerated cooler, like a that you plug into the car. Everything I basically do the same thing you do. Put all the ice and stuff in there, do that, and then on the drive, it's got you plug it into the cigarette lighter or what used to be a cigarette lighter. I'm sure they don't do, but you plug it into there, and it has like a refrigerator in it, and it keeps it cool.
So thinking about 83 and 86, episodes 83, 86, they involved some pretty serious time management skills. And to be fair, we always say if you want to get something done, have a dance mom do it because dance moms are some of the most resourceful people in the world. How do you suggest dance parents juggle all the competition prep? It sounds like you all are very well versed and you have it down pat, packing, tanning, makeup, food, while still managing the other responsibilities during, the week leading up to the competition. I mean, you've got school pickup and drop off, you've got other activities, a lot of times often other siblings that are just as busy doing other things. How do you manage all of that?
It really is so crazy. I think the expectations we put on ourselves to get done, and then we're throwing in the mix on that, these additional expectations for ourselves to have like the perfect meals and tan our dancers perfectly and put their makeup on perfectly and have everything packed perfectly. So I would say I really don't think that there is a perfect way to juggle all of that. And I think the key for dance parents is to give themselves grace, and to, know that it's never going to be possible to like pack perfectly and to tan perfectly and get the makeup on perfectly and then have like pioneer woman meals ready, like, and packed perfectly for your home when you're gone and then in the cooler for when you're away. And so I just think grace is going to be the key. I think that you have to rely on other dance moms and dance mom friends, lean on them. And I honestly can't even count how many times I've asked Casey to step in and do my dancer's lash when I was just, I couldn't get to it. It wasn't working for me. My hands weren't working. I needed to do something else, or I needed to do something for my son. So I think that lean on your dance mom friends and give yourself grace are kind of the only way to juggle all of it.
How do you get your dancers involved in this? Because I see these kids and they're like laying back. They might as well have like somebody with palm leaves, like just fanning them. Right, like, yeah, they've got grapes, you're feeding them grapes, and they're just like, "Oh my god," and I'm going, "Dude, that was not my life." My mom was like, "Are you ready?" Like, she just came in and it was done. So crazy. Or I love it when they just strip down and leave it in the middle of the floor and walk off, and the moms are like, oh my god, hang it up," and I'm going, "Dude, that, like I said, not my life. Not resentful, but not my life was that at all." So how do you get your kiddos involved and teach them not only just to help and lighten the load on you, but to learn the skill of, hey, do some stuff for yourself?
I'm definitely guilty of doing a lot of the stuff for my dancer, just because sometimes it's easier from like a time perspective. And so I think that it's important for us to remember the reasons we do all these competitive sports and put so much money into it is that we want to make them better adults and better capable to be responsible for their own things and manage their lives. And I think it helps that I look to like our senior dancers and the older girls in our studio, and like the parents are really involved from a distance. They're dropping off and paying bills for the most part and just watching and supporting their dancers. The dancers, for the most part, are doing their hair and makeup. They're bringing their costumes. They're showing up when they need to be. They're warming up. And so, if that's the end point, then we're doing a disservice to our dancers if we're not gradually leading them into some additional responsibilities, because otherwise they're going to be so overwhelmed when it is time for them to take the wheel. And so I think it's all about doing sort of age appropriate responsibilities when they're the youngest. Like when I had like a 5, 6, 7 year old competitive dancer, really the only things I could ask her to do that I felt were reasonable were to help her get ready for her classes. So like remember your ballet shoes. If she didn't remember, it wasn't like an end of the world situation. Bring your water bottle. Like do you have hip hop today? You got to remember your hip hop shoes. And so those little things for classes that weren't as it wasn't devastating if she forgot it. And then gradually when you get like a junior, I think having them start to take over some of their makeup is really, really helpful and eliminates a lot of stress. My dancer, I started with blush. Now she literally did every piece of her makeup this weekend, and I just threw on a lash, and it allowed us to drive and go, and it looked great. And so I think you just have to sort of in stages pass things along. Cayse has a teenager, so her dancer's doing, a lot more even at this point. So you may have additional thoughts on like the next step, but I think we can't do the disservice of not having them know how to do anything for themselves.
That's perfectly said. I think it's in stages, just like Amira said. It's the same that you would do in your home with chores. The chores become more in depth as the child gets older. They have more responsibility. They're pitching in more around the house. It's the same with this experience. And like for my daughter, she does everything. She does her hair, she does her makeup. She's just turned 15 and she can handle herself completely. If she was going to be picked up by another mom, she could get herself ready and handle it all. And it's because she has been doing, just like Amira said, in stages when she was little, slowly taking on responsibility, learning not to lose her stuff. But every year there's just more added to the plate of what's expected and what's required. But we are the kind of fail safe. Like we're still there, like making sure everything's okay, like as that little backup support because they're not adults yet. They're just adults in training. And so, like, my daughter packs her bag, but I'm the one still washing all of her costumes because I don't trust her with that yet. I don't want to see the costume suddenly become, you know, miscolored or shrunken or whatever. So I'm still washing them. She's in charge of packing them and making sure that she has all of her belongings. So we're still in that handoff phase of handling things, but I'm fully behind the scenes at this point. She handles herself completely as a newly 15-year-old.
Well, this has all been fantastic advice and it's something I frankly wish. I mean, I wish I would have had you guys as a resource to give to my dance parents when we were running the competitive programs because it's so genius and it's stuff as a director that you don't think about as much because you're worried about a lot of other things behind the scenes. And so this is all fantastic and I hope it's really helpful for everybody out there watching. As you both know, we do homework for this show. We give our viewers out there one piece of homework that they can achieve between now and next week to make some progress. What is that homework for you, Cayse? I'll let you start.
My homework for the parents is remember to prep. Start early. Start now. Get your things in line and you won't regret it later on that you started early. There's no point too early. You start now. Where I don't know when your comp is. Your comp can be in 3 months. You start now. You start today. You make your list and you start now because you're never going to regret having it done, even if it's done really early. Because we got too much going on.
And you should start for the next one at the end of the last one. Like the minute as you are packing from the last one, you should start for the next one.
Yes, ideally we come home from comp and I unpack the bag. If I can't do it that night, I try to do it the next day because Lord knows it's easy to forget. It's like,
All right, this is not a shameless plug. This is honestly to help the dance parents. We don't do a ton on Instagram, but we do have a lot of helpful tools in our link tree. And our Instagram is at twodancemoms podcast. You have to put the podcast in. We have a convention checklist. So you can go through and say, okay, I have what I need for my conventions. We have a preseason checklist. So getting started, these are the things I need to have done. A makeup dupes list with links to literally just click on and shop, hair product list with links, just a lot of useful things that I think will sort of streamline some of the overwhelmingness that you feel when you're trying to prepare for dance comps. So go over to our link tree at Two Dance Moms Podcast.
I don't think that's a shameless plug at all. I think it's brilliant and wonderful, and it's a helpful tool. So that's awesome. Go check that out. We give the same homework every week, and it is to take our Steps Initiative course. This is a course that is completely free. You can take it at your own pace. It's going to have curated modules from experts in each field on racism, gender inequity, sex abuse prevention, nutrition, psychology, and of course, dance medicine and science, where we live. Uh, and you can, again, go at your own pace. This is great for directors, faculties, parents, student performance athletes of any kind. This is really going to help lay a foundation with evidence-based research and resources so that you can investigate and explore more on your own into all of these different topics, and hopefully lay a foundation for you, because as Melissa said earlier, when you know better, you do better. I want to give you guys the opportunity. We already shared the Instagram page for everybody to go visit and catch up on Two Dance Moms podcast. But how else can people get in touch with you? What do you guys have coming up that you want to share? Tell us all the things.
You can catch all of our podcasts. And if you are new to us, get caught up and on Apple iTunes or on Spotify, pretty much wherever you find your podcasts, but those tend to be the most popular. So find us there, listen, you get all the tips. As Amira said, we have the Instagram account, which we do try to be a little more active on. And then you can also email us, twodancemoms@gmail.com. We love doing listener episodes. So if somebody has a topic they want to suggest or a question they want to ask, we love getting those emails and just hearing what's going on in our dance parent community and being able to kind of respond directly to some of those requests. So those are some of the fun things we have. Lots coming up because competition season is just getting underway. And our episode dropped one of the episodes that's dropped this month is all about bringing your family to competitions. And I feel like it's kind of a undiscussed topic because it's way different than bringing your family to a soccer tournament where they come and watch for, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then y'all go out to lunch and have a good day and you're done. So we like to discuss it because it's, family is important, and the family often is like, what are you spending all this time on? What are you doing? And it's a different thing to bring them to a competition than it is to a recital. So that's one of the fun topics we've discussed this month that I think is really cool.
Awesome. Can't wait to watch. Thank you both so much.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. That sounds like an amazing one, especially what to do with your littles, like your little brothers and your little cousins when they're there for all those hours. Anyway, I'm Melissa McDaniel Grisham. I'm here with Bree Zabrowski and our wonderful guests, and we thank you so much to all of our friends and viewers. Amira and Cayse, thank you for another fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate you both, and I always have fun chatting with you.
They are regulars on Beyond the Steps. You can go back and look at all of their past episodes and all of our past episodes on YouTube and Facebook at Apolla Performance and at TP Dance Creations. So be sure to subscribe and like, comment, and share. We will be back next week with another fantastic episode. Until then, we hope you continue your journey beyond the steps.